In this video, I'll give you 13 minutes of completely useless information about Stepford County Railway. Let's begin. West Wyvern has 4 platforms. Platform 3 is used as the terminating platform and is also the shortest of these 4 platforms. You can still fall through the map if you go in the metro tunnels in the Stepford core. Toby said this was fixed in 2.3, but no, a decent portion of the tunnels are still broken. I think he might have still been on his nose candy when writing that changelog. Upper Staplow has an abandoned metro platform with rotting rails next to it. Thankfully, the rails disappear before running into anything important. The least used station in Stepford County Railway was Rosedale Village. It used to be Ellesmere Pond, however, since the metro update it's gotten a massive amount of new routes, which helped it beat out Rosedale Village, which only has R016 serving it. In the same update, Coxley Newtown was introduced, and due to its still relatively young age, it's the least used station on the SCR network, but I am confident that it will eventually overtake Rosedale Village. Every single airplane at Stepford International Airport is the exact same. Millcastle Racecourse and Millcastle have disused express platforms. However, this isn't entirely correct. First off, as of version 2.3, these are used for semi-fasts. However, we can also presume that these platforms would be used by Express on event days at Millcastle Racecourse, as there are some stations in the UK like Bordesley and Birmingham that do that sort of thing. The Beachley Triangle is still a nightmare after version 2.2 and 2.3. If you have failed your dispatching test, you have to wait 4 days to take it again. St Helens Bridge has 7 platforms. Platforms 1 and 2 for Express, 3, 4 and 5 for Connect and Metro services, and platforms 6 and 7 for Airlink. Platform 4 is also both an overflow and terminating platform, which has made it slightly annoying and has turned St Helens Bridge into a spaghetti mess in version 2.2. Leighton Stepford Road used to be called Winstree before the big update. Actually, the old Winstree was closer to Rocket Parade, about the location where the Bantech Innovations building is currently located. Leighton City existed even before the update as a high-speed operated station sitting unused beyond the old Winstree depot. There are numerous areas of the map that the developers didn't intend for you to walk along. The longest of these is a river from Famir to the airport area, I think. I would record it, but Dweller did it a while ago, so I'll just steal his footage and hope nobody notices. If you fall under the map, you'll notice a bunch of objects sticking out. This is a common feature in most games, and it's the most efficient way to hide random items, access building parts, and Easter eggs. Stepford International Airport has 3 terminals. There's a tunnel under Eden Quay connecting the 2 sides of the city separated from the river. This was a rather unique decision on SCR's end, and frankly I'm glad they didn't just whack down a giant bridge over here. As of version 2.2, you could have set Crab Rave as the theme song, and you'd even get a badge for doing so. I don't know why this was a feature. However, at some point Roblox removed some of the songs, and I'm not sure if this list includes Crab Rave, because I can't be bothered to check right now, so you might still be able to have it, or you might not be able to have it. The ideal distance to slow down from 100 miles per hour is 0.3 miles. However, it's better to slow down from 0.35 miles, because the driving system is unpredictable, and it's better to slow down to 20 miles per hour and then gradually stop it than it is to overshoot or miss your stop. For express trains, 0.6 miles works best to slow down to 100 miles per hour, and then again at 0.35 miles, you'll kill your throttle to stop at 0 on the station. Morganstown Docks is still completely useless even after version 2.2 brought Metro here and version 2.3 modified the shuttle. There's no evidence to claim that Transport Penguin's favourite food is a biscuit. There are only 2 stations in SCR with 2 split platforms on the same tracks, those being Woodhead Lane and Aslockby. Both are also unelectrified. Speaking of split platforms, did you know that Water Newton is weird? Think about it. Why does the entire slow main line split off just to cover Upper Stapleau? It makes no sense. It would have made much more sense if the abandoned Upper Stapleau was reopened. Benton is based off of Birmingham New Street. If you use the cross-city line in Birmingham, going southbound, the next station from Birmingham New Street is Five Ways, which is the basis for Rocket Parade. If you try driving this line in Train Sim World, it will probably feel weird moving from Rocket Parade to Benton or vice versa. North Shore, Starry Lough and Inn by the Sea have a shore next to them. Technically, West Wyvern is also very close to this shore. Wester Coast, however, doesn't really have a coast, which is ironic because it's, well, Wester Coast. Barton is based off of Liverpool Central Station, specifically on the northern line of Merseyrail, and was the only station in Stepford County Railway to have only bi-directional terminating platforms prior to the Tramlink update when certain routes were rerouted, and Tramlink now also goes via Barton. Outside of Stepford Central, there is a statue dedicated to Steve. Steve was a driver manager who passed away, and this statue is there to honour him. On the statue you can also see a rose, which is a reference to his partner Rose, who was also a driver manager. The Mayor of Bowden statue is the most climbed statue in Stepford for 3 years in a row. Speaking of Bowden, did you know Visit Bowden, the tourist organisation, has a Department of Foreign Affairs, a Department of Defence, Department of Exports? Is Visit Bowden a tourist organisation or some sort of anarchist semi-government working in the shadows to gain independence and secede from Stepford with the help of Benjamin Netanyahu? The Class 377 in SCR used to be a Dash 2 variant, with 4 coaches. However, as of a few previous Electrostar remeshes, it's a more modern Dash 7 variant and it has 5 coaches. Both of these are dual voltage, meaning they can run on both third rail and overhead lines, and they are both used by Southern frequently on services from Milton Keynes to East Croydon. Actually, correction, I am a bit stupid. These services were cut back to Watford Junction in 2015. Anyways, SCR might also get a Dash 2 or Dash 5 variant of the 377, as a 4-car 377 was sneak peeked recently for the upcoming Electrostar remesh, and it is likely a double. The Class 345 was the closest thing SCR has had to a highway robbery. It was 4,500 points for one route. One route that has 5 stops in one direction and 3 in the other. One route. It has since been modified to have 2 routes, but still rather questionable. It is, however, the longest train both lengthwise and coachwise that you can obtain without the longer train's game pass as of version 2.3.2. Leighton City has 2 terminating platforms in an island formation at the centre of the station. If you spawn at Whitefield and walk down the depot, past the wash station to this wall, you'll see a sign saying Matty was here. This is a reference to Matty X 2013. He was responsible for the NGV1 and NGV2 trains in SCR, as well as the Whitefield line rebuild in version 1.8, which gave us the Whitefield line we still have to this day. You can also find his NGV2 Class 166 at West Benton, along with a statue of him outside the station, and his pet store nearby. If you can't tell, Matty was quite fond of West Benton, which is why I skip it every single time I drive Waterline. If you do the Lynn Superfast on Express, there is a near 100% chance you will be stuck behind a stopper at some point. Same goes for any connect route passing through the Beachley Triangle. This place is nightmare fuel. The Class 350 on Connect used to be a 350-3 variant. When the 350 was remeshed, it got Dash 1 and Dash 2 variants, but no Dash 3 variant. The only real difference between the 350-1 and 350-2 in SCR is that the Dash 2 has 3+2 seating, and also a slightly bigger unit number. If you spawn at Edgemead and walk over this way, you'll see this faulty advertising screen. At a certain angle, it appears to be rendering itself over this fence, whilst not actually being over the fence. Weird. Since the Berrily rework, which completed the Barton Tunnel stub, There are no disused lines left in Stepford County Railway. Every single piece of track currently leads somewhere. The Class 68 can commonly be seen in random sidings across the map to fill in the scenery. Presumably, it can also be used to tow multiple units that have failed on their shift. Stepford County Railway currently has several trains that have been withdrawn in real life, such as the Class 313, 319, 321, 332, and the Smiling Devil itself, the Class 365, which ran its last shift for Great Northern on Saturday, May 15, 2021. Metro running via Morganstown Docks still makes little to no sense. The Port Benton loop was upgraded with an additional disused siding in 2.3, but still feels very bland and partially useless. Every major branch rework or extension since version 1.9 has included some sort of verticality. There hasn't been a single new branch line since then that is completely flat. Speaking of flat things, the entire main line from North Shore to at least Hampton Hargate is completely flat. It features absolutely no incline. It's almost as flat as my crush's chest. If the battery on your Class 398 runs out on an unelectrified line, you will be despawned. If this happens in the 756 though, you won't be despawned, as the 756 still has diesel engines. One of the random disruption events involves the Class 180 at Family Depot catching fire. This is very relatable. On a completely unrelated note, did you know one of the 180s suffered from corrosion damage and had to lose a coach? My question is, how? The SCR community team is apparently allowed to use AI in their responses according to this message from the man himself. The Class 700 was one of the first trains added to Connect. It had 6 coaches, which was kind of absurd. It then got deleted in version 1.0, but recently came back in version 2.3 with the correct amount of coaches. Metro is the operator with the lowest maximum speed at 85 miles per hour, and the lowest minimum speed at 62 miles per hour. It is by far SCR's slowest operator in this regard. You have exactly 6 seconds to acknowledge the AWS before the emergency brake turns on. The old paper and NGV1 trains were basically direct retextures from Ureb's Mind the Gap. Multiple stations and pieces of scenery have layouts that spell TJH44, such as St Helens Bridge and the paths at Faraday Road. Mr. Nose Candy clearly wants to be remembered by his name and not the amount of substances he has consumed. However, he will mostly be remembered for completely ruining the railway network. One of the roads in Bowden is named Dodgy Dave's Driveway. This is reference to British politics, which I will not get into on this channel. If you want Serbian politics though, I'm all for it. On the topic of politics and Serbia, SCR has never had part of a station collapse and kill 16 people. That's it for this video, thank you for watching. If you want, you can subscribe and also become a channel member like these lovely people on the screen. Join the Discord, like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next SCR video. Goodbye.